Hello, good evening and welcome to Pye Motors. I'm Kev Harris and you join us live and interactive via Facebook for the next 20 or 25 minutes as we bring you something that really is a once-in-a-generation moment for an icon of the Ford brand that is the Ford Mustang. Before we go any further, I must just say as well that in light of the current coronavirus pandemic, we have been following all of the correct precautions in terms of social distancing, the wearing of masks and staying within our working bubbles. So it really is an exciting time because for the first time in 55 years, Ford have added to the iconic Mustang lineup. They've taken everything that original Mustang represented, freedom, progress and a touch of rebellion, and they've come up with this, the all-new Mustang Mach-E. It's an intelligent, all-electric SUV that's bursting with features, technology, but above all else, because it's a Mustang, an exhilarating drive. And I think straight away from the off, when you have a look at it here in the Pye Motors showroom, you can see just how good of a car it looks. And also joining me, part of the family that has been looking after Pye Motors since 1925 is Nick Payne. And I'm thrilled, Nick, that you could join us this evening. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. And I mean, I haven't over-egged this. It's a big moment for Ford, and I'm sure you're very excited to bring this to the people of the Northwest.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something we've been waiting for. We've heard about it, and we've actually seen it in the flesh now. It's been on the ground for a couple of days. We've all driven it. And it's absolutely fantastic. We're absolutely delighted.
And that's the big question, because a lot of people who'll be watching this obviously haven't driven it. There's not many people in the country who have yet. You have. I know you love your cars. What's it like from a driver's point of view?
Well, it ticks every box. It's real state of the art. It's electrified, but it also makes you feel electrified when you drive it. It's a driver's car from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, and interesting as well, as we sort of look around here, plenty of great cars on display. This represents the pinnacle of Ford's electric range, fully electric, a real premium vehicle. But there'll be people watching this who probably want to go electric, but join at a lower rung of the ladder, if you will. There's options right across the board now, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Right away from the smallest car right the way to the biggest van as well. So across all different models, you can access the new technology, whether it be mild hybrid or full hybrid, or even at this beautiful electrified vehicle here.
And I'm sure back in 1925, when it was your grandfather who founded it, he would never have envisaged the day when this was going to be stood here.
No, I mean, it's incredible. The innovation at the time, when my granddad started the business, it was all change, and I think we're just going into that same period now, so it's really exciting. We're really, really excited about this vehicle. It
really is an exciting time. Thanks so much. Cheers.
Thank you for bringing it here to us. Thank you.
And don't go away, because of course we are live on Facebook, so if you do have any questions or comments, then you can stick them in the comments section below, and we'll do our best to answer them over the course of the next 20 minutes or so. And any that we don't answer, or Andy is going to be joining us later, that we don't answer, will get answered by one of the team in the coming days. So it is every bit a car that wouldn't look out of place in Hollywood, so we thought it would be a good idea if we asked the Hollywood A-lister if he wouldn't mind starring alongside one.
Should have seen this coming. An icon. Built for freedom, the open road, power, and rebellion. And just when you think you know where they're going, they do something unexpected. Something that moves us all forward and holds nothing back. The all-electric Mustang Mach-E. An SUV with the heart of a Mustang.
Just how good does it look seeing all of those Mustangs side by side there, and knowing Idris Elba, I'm sure he had a little go in driving many of those on that shoot day. Brilliant stuff, isn't it? But when you look at all of those great vehicles side by side, and then you look at the Mach-E here at Pye Motors, you suddenly realise that this is every bit a Mustang. Design cues just right across the board on this one. If we start at the front down at what's called the shark nose, you've got this sort of pointed nose front end to it, which is very Mustang, and then a big long sweeping bonnet, maintaining a big sort of bulbous ridge over the centre section where once upon a time a big sort of petrol engine block would have sat. Obviously that's no longer there. But then coming up over the slope of a very sort of coupe lined windshield and then body that sweeps down to the back. Cleverly what's happened here, there's additional headroom in the rear of the Mach-E, but that's been hidden behind the colourway of having the gloss black across here and then the colour that leads your eyes all the way down to the back. And then when you stand at the back of it and you look at the rear, suddenly you realise it is every bit a Mustang. It's a big sort of like, you know, kind of rear end with these flared rear arches covering the rear wheels that give it real presence on the road, almost like the haunches of a Mustang. And then you've got, you know, tri-bar lighting. We just saw the brake lights in that Idris Elba film of all of those Mustangs from the 60s and the later versions, and that's carried over. And then when you follow your way back down the line of the side, you've got this beautiful sort of minimal, smooth, fluid profile down the side of the car now. No door handles spoiling the party here or the look of the thing, just these little finger pulls that work with the e-latch system, so with the key in your pocket, the door will pop open and you can just let yourself in nice and easily. And then back around to the front, a very slim, kind of like almost aggressive looking set of headlamps there. Again, LED lights on those, and again with a tri-bar design or a sort of three-way design on the lamps. And then front and center down at the front, there's no front grille because obviously there's no air-breathing internal combustion engine. It's just Mustang branding in the middle. And then below where it says Mustang Mach-E and where your registration plate will go, there are some active aero vents which will aid cooling or airflow depending on whatever is needed at the time. So it is every bit a Mustang, but it is obviously a vehicle designed for the 21st century, an all-electric, exciting car to drive that will deliver you near instantaneous torque and acceleration the moment you hit the loud pedal.
The rules of gravity cannot be changed, but can they be beat? Can torque be generated at such a force that the agreed upon rules and theories of what's possible no longer apply?
Stand clear.
That is just great, isn't it? And it has to be one of those moments where you say, do not try this at home if you dare. But what we're talking about then is a car that is just built for the future, but it's here and now. But the battery technology really is something that as a manufacturer we've been working on for quite some time. So let me just show you now the sort of like the business end of things, the heart and lungs, if you will, the battery and the motor, because this technology is great. Here, have a look at this next slide and you'll see. So as you can see, the battery and transmission, here we go. The battery then is in turquoise, the motors themselves also in turquoise. And what Ford have been able to do, the battery and the chassis have been designed side by side, and this has given us both improvements for handling and safety. The chassis is very stiff and rigid around the battery, and then the battery sits very low in the vehicle. So we've got a low center of gravity with a very stiff chassis, makes for a very sort of planted, pointed feeling when you get behind the wheel. The battery size is where you have two options as far as that's concerned. If you want to be sort of technical, in usable kilowatt hours, you've got a 68 kilowatt hour usable battery and an 88 kilowatt hour extended range battery. It's effectively a standard size battery and then a bigger battery, and it determines how far you can go off a single charge. So on that extended range battery, if you have a rear-wheel drive model, you could see yourself doing up to 379 miles from completely full to completely flat. And if you had an all-wheel drive model, then that would just drop down to up to 335 miles. Now this would be determined by, you know, how you drive it and where you drive it and what the traffic conditions are like on that day. A single motor then is what you'll get in a rear-wheel drive model. That will sit obviously predictably between the two rear wheels, and then in an all-wheel drive model you have two motors. The primary one still between the rear wheels and another one then between the two front wheels. All Mach-E's are a single automatic speed transmission. So great figures on the numbers there. And how does the Mach-E manage to get such great figures on the mileage? Have a look at this next slide. It's through something called regenerative braking, or partly. So if you've watched Formula One the last few years, you'll have heard them talking about this. You've got the battery, the motor, and the wheels there. Obviously, the battery powers the motor turns the wheels go around. But then when you lift off and you slow down, now the wheels start to recoup some of that lost energy. It goes back through the motor. The motor starts working like a dynamo, putting some juice back into the battery. You'll see that effect most when you're using something called one-pedal drive, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. So that's how the battery is effectively charging itself or keeping itself topped up when you're on the move. But when you're at home, you're obviously going to need to charge it up. So in the front here, we have what you will get with your Mach-E. That's the home charge kit. There's effectively a big transformer, and then there's a 13 amp 3-pin plug, so you can actually plug it into your standard home socket if you want to just top it up. You've also got a 32 amp plug and socket there, which you could use. That's a kind of like camping or more commercial looking socket. It's a faster charge and a slower charge based on the ampage that you're working at. Then also what you want to do is speak to the team at Pye Motors about the faster charging home wall box as well, because you can have one of those installed and then you can plug it in at home. That could be on the drive or just to the front of your house. Plug it in at home into one of those and you can take it from completely empty to full in around 10 hours. And obviously if you've got some, that's effectively overnight, isn't it? But if you've already got some charge in the battery, somewhere between 6 to 10 hours. And you'll soon see that charging off the wall box like that, just the running costs of this thing are just going to be great. And then when you're not at home, obviously, the big thing that people are starting to think about is, like, well, where am I going to charge it up where I'm on the move? Panic not, because the Ford Pass app and the next generation sync that are in the car will work that out for you. There are some, I think, 155,000 charge spots all across Europe at this point in time right now. And with Ford linking up with BP, part of the BP Pulse network recently announced, we're now looking at about 9,500 places that you can charge up in the UK. I tapped Next EV Charge into the nav earlier today. I found 23 within 4 miles of where we're stood here at Pye Motors today. So charging really isn't an issue when you're out and about and on the move. And then the other thing to have a think about as well is this, because you'll start to see these pop up. These are Ionity charging points. Now this is, again, part of the total amount of charge points that you're going to find across Europe. But Ionity is the brand that Ford are supporting along with the consortium of other motor manufacturers. And these are great because these are going to be Europe-wide. There's already some, all across Europe. And as this picture shows on the left, that's what the artist's impression or the glossy promotional photo looks like. But one on the right is actually a photo I took last week as I was coming up the A1 not far from Alconbury. And I pulled into some services and there was an Ionity charge spot for 5 cars. They're super fast charging. If you pulled up to the services, pulled onto an Ionity spot and you only had 10 minutes to nip in and go to the loo and come out, in that 10 minutes you could have put an additional 73 miles worth of energy into your car. Obviously if you've got more time than that, then by all means put more in. And they will get billed through the Ford Pass app, your Ford account, or obviously by paying using a card at the pay point, at the Ionity charge point. So we know then that it is a high-performing all-electric vehicle with easy charging options and great range. But what about the range as far as you're concerned when it comes to choosing one? Have a look at this slide and I'll quickly explain because it's really simple. Previously, or existing Ford cars, we're familiar with Z-Tech, Titanium, and ST line and ST. But when it comes to Mach-E, very, very simple. Currently, you have 4 choices. You've got those standard range batteries on the bottom of there, and then you've got the extended range batteries. On the left, it's all-wheel drive. On the right, it's rear-wheel drive. It's as simple as that. There's effectively 4 choices for you at the moment. And the level of trim and options and accessories and bits and pieces that come with the car are determined by those 4 options. Case in point, have a look at this. I'll show you a picture between rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. So if you choose a rear-wheel drive vehicle, you have an 18-inch alloy wheel. If you choose an all-wheel drive vehicle, then you'll have a slightly different wheel. It's a 19-inch alloy wheel with red brake calipers. And then again, on a rear-wheel drive model, you'll have any of the trim or the mouldings will be in what's called a moulding colour in a black, whereas if you have the all-wheel drive option, then things start to look sort of glossier in this pillar black, as it's called there. I can tell you though, whichever one you choose, whether you end up with a rear-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive, you won't be disappointed by either, because they are all great-looking cars. We've had 3 on display here at Pye Motors today. The team have been taking them out on the roads, and they've all been coming back with smiles on their faces, which I think is the most important thing. Now, when you step up then to an extended range car as well, then suddenly the options or the bits that are attached to it continue. You now have a full panoramic glass roof. That's a UV coated full panoramic roof. That's brilliant. It just makes the car feel really spacious when you're sitting in it, and you don't get hot through the glass because it's UV coated. You've got 8-way power memory front seats. They're adjustable for different people, and they can change from the moment you get in the car, programmed onto the key, depending on who gets in the car, which is really rather clever. Power foldable door mirrors. Bang & Olufsen, B&O, are responsible for the 10-speaker sound system when you have an extended range model, which is just incredible. It's about the sounds it's giving you and the sounds it's taking away with the noise-cancelling audio technology that's going on in there. You have the hands-free tailgate on the extended range model and the advanced active park assist with 360-degree camera. All of that stuff comes when you choose extended range. You wouldn't be able to add that to a standard range vehicle. It is just literally what you get when you choose extended range. Right, enough talking from me. We've got one here on display. I think I should hop in and show you around the inside because it is really rather nice. Have a look at this. So you settle yourself down. I have to say, from the moment you get comfy in the Mach-E, you realise that this is a premium product. We are sitting in a great space here. This is a Sensico vegan leather upholstery, hand stitching, beautiful red detailing on the seats, and a perforation on this extended range all-wheel drive model. Makes it feel sporty from the off, very premium, very sort of top end. When you come up to the dashboard, that continues with this carbon fibre detailing across here. There's the B&O badge, and this wonderful part of the 10-speaker system is this sound bar which spans the dashboard. Brings you rather nicely all the way across the 10.2-inch digital cluster. All of everything that you see when you look front and centre from the passenger seat, or from the driver's seat, I must say, is on this digital cluster. It's super sharp and clear. It's really crisp and just great to see. The steering wheel itself just feels good in your hands, but of course the star of the show is in the middle. This is a 15.5-inch next generation sync screen, and the graphics on this and the design of this are second to none. It's a team of coders in the US who have just made it all just look really clear and really sharp. And here's my profile I set up earlier, Kev Harris. So it's already offering me some choices based on my most often used actions. If I were to switch it to my mum or Patrick Harris, another member of the team here, everything changes. The radio stations, the seat position, nav preferences, audio preferences, phone book contacts, everything. So you set your profile. That can be programmed to your key, so when you jump in, it recognises your key, it knows it's you, and then everything just works really clearly and crisply. I mean, this is how to just adjust the fans if you want, the blowers going up the windscreen into your face or down to your feet. Nice and clear and easy to do. You can adjust those fans, all touchscreen, with the kind of technology that we're familiar with iPads and iPhones, and it all just works so well. It's got a lot of artificial intelligence going on, so that's how it kind of works out what your most often used actions are, and it will offer you, if I was to pair my phone to it and I finish work every day at 5:30, first thing I do when I get in the car is phone home, so I'll be home in 20 minutes. It'll offer me a phone home button in no time at all because it knows that's what I want it to do. There's cloud connectivity as well, so there's a modem behind the scenes that you can't see that gives you live traffic information and updates, and all the system updates can take place behind the scenes via that over-the-air modem. It's incredible stuff, very, very clear and easy to use. Navigation is taken care of in great fashion. Have a look at this earlier because I planned a journey to Manchester and I'll talk you through it. So here we are, this was a little bit earlier on. I just, as we do, we've all learnt sat-nav these days, so where to, I start to type in MAN. For Manchester, it's going to find Manchester. It's already using the cloud connectivity to offer me live traffic information and planning the best route. But then what it's also doing is working out how far it is and then working out on my route where my EV charge points are. So it's going to tell me you might want to stop here and top up. It'll tell you how long for. how long you need to wait for while you charge, and then tell you what time you're going to get there and the state of your battery when you arrive. You don't have to follow those charge points or that exact route. You can make your own one and choose a different one if you wish, but really nothing to worry about in terms of route planning and charging. Wonderful to see some great driving images of it there on that VT, and you know, just speaking to Nick earlier, all the team here at Pye who have driven it today just said it really is a driver's car. They love it. And when it comes to driving, you have 3 drive modes. We're familiar with this from most modern cars these days, but I'll just quickly talk you through them. You have active, which is probably the one that you'll leave it in most of the time. Gives you a fairly sort of predictable, if you will, a responsive acceleration and deceleration phase, coloration in this blue, audio as you would expect from the car that you're probably currently driving in right now in terms of engine note and sound. But then perhaps if you finish work one day and you've had a particularly hectic day and you just want to calm things down a notch, drop it into whisper. Suddenly the sounds in the cabin are reduced, the colorway is dimmed, your cabin, cabin lighting goes softer, and then your acceleration, your deceleration is much more of a coast. It's much more gradual and gentle. So if you just feel you want to bring it down a notch, pop it into whisper. But of course it's a Mustang, isn't it? It's a Mach-E. You have to have a mode that is every bit muscle car, every bit raw, and the driver's car. That mode is called Untamed. Suddenly everything turns a vibrant orange. You've got lighting all around the cabin that will be a vibrant orange. The sounds you hear will be raw and aggressive. The acceleration is rapid, the deceleration also very rapid. And just a note on the sounds, obviously you've got to remember there's no engine here, so everything you hear or don't hear is thanks to B&O. So you're kind of tuned in to whichever mode that you choose. And then lastly, here's one pedal drive. You can turn that on or turn it off in any mode. And this is effectively the ability just to put your foot on the accelerator, you go forward, then when you lift off, it actually sort of brakes you and slows you down without touching the brake, and then you press the accelerator and you go forward again. Driving it with one pedal, the brake pedal is still there, it still works, so if you want to jump on the brakes you can, but within no time at all you'll learn to almost drive it a bit like a sort of a Dodgem or a go-kart, foot down, foot up with one foot, and it's really rather good, and that will give you the most benefit from your regenerative braking as well, to keep your battery topped up and get you sort of more miles in the tank. So it's a great driver's car, but it's also going to be a car that families are going to love, because join me around the back, I'll show you the luggage space because it is really quite impressive. Have a look at this. If you're going to pop your suitcases in, you're going to need somewhere to put them to go on your holidays. Power assisted tailgate, and if I had the key in my pocket I could use the hands-free tailgate on this extended range model. But straight away at the back we've now got 402 litres of boot space here. It is cavernous. You could fit probably a couple of suitcases stacked there and another couple there, or stand them upright and get 3 or 4 or 5 even abreast depending on the size of them. Really big just as it is, 402 litres. Drop the seats down, we're adding another 1,000 litres, so it's huge. So if you're the kind of person that does gardening on the weekend and you're cutting down the back hedge or something, you'll probably take it all to the tip in one trip, I would imagine. But I'd recommend putting a ground sheet down because it's too nice in the back there for garden rubbish. But come around the front, because we're not done there. When you come to the front, we've already seen a little sneak peek on this, haven't we? There is another 81 litres, don't forget, in this area, because we don't have an engine. So you have something that's called the front trunk. Now this is washable and waterproof. We've got this divider in this one here, and we're housing our home charge kit in that centre section there. You can choose to keep that or not, it's entirely up to you. But effectively this is a great space for the welly boots, the kids' football boots, if you've been for a dog walk, any muddy bits that you don't want to put in the back, pop them in here, because then you can wipe it out, wash it out, and there's even a little drain plug down the bottom if there is any excess water in there. So I think it's some nearly 1,500 litres worth of luggage space. Means it is an absolute, bonus when it comes to taking the kids away for the weekend. And joining me just to wrap things up is one of the men that you'll speak to down here at Pye Motors, Andy.
Hi, good afternoon.
How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. And you?
Yeah, I'm good. This is you're one of the people here this weekend or this week
right,
who's been out in this already.
Yeah, that's right.
I know Nick enjoyed driving it. How did you get on?
It was absolutely fantastic to drive. The road handling was really good. Overall space of it, ease of use was really good. Took a bit of time to get used to the one pedal, but
Yeah.
after a couple of minutes, you certainly got used to it. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
good, very nice drive.
Brilliant, good stuff. You're one of only a few people in the country at this point in time who've driven it. We're going around the dealerships.
Yeah, we're very privileged. We've been looking forward to this
Yeah.
for the last 12 months, actually.
Brilliant, brilliant. And thank you to everyone who's getting in touch, by the way, on the Facebook. I'm just going to get myself set up with the Facebook now because we had a few viewer questions come in live. We've also had some come in this afternoon, so we've got a few here. And just to say as well, if you put something on the comments in the next few days or next few hours, the team here at Pye Motors will be addressing those in due course, so please do get in touch via Facebook. David first, though, is in Lytham. David wants to know about the warranty on the battery. He says, what is the Ford manufacturer warranty on the battery?
So there comes with an 8-year warranty, or it comes with 100,000 miles, whatever comes first.
Yeah, and that's really quite impressive, isn't it? Because when you think
really
about...
It is really impressive, because normally it's only a standard 3-year warranty.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is very impressive.
Yeah, great stuff. So certainly probably for the life of the vehicle that you have it, you've got nothing to worry about as far as the battery is concerned. Hazel is in Morecambe. She says, what charging points does the Ford Pass app show, and am I limited just to the Ionity charging points I heard about?
No, you're not limited to Ionity ones. Like you mentioned before, there's over 23 charging points within the vicinity of our dealership, so you can see the infrastructure's coming more and more popular. But you're not limited. If you look at your Ford Pass app, also it'll give you a lot of information on the screen as well.
Yeah, and I think, like, fair to say, and you'll be tuning into this, as soon as you start to look out for the charge points, you suddenly realise you see them everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. You don't realise there's probably 23 charging points within a certain probably 3 or 4 miles of the dealership. So it's really
and just
impressive.
to clarify that, because I did do that, that's including ones that you'd find at, like, your Premier Inn, your Holiday Inn hotels. They always have a couple, but there are plenty at service stations. And,
that's right, and also at the dealership now we've started putting electric points in at the dealership, so that's really impressive.
Yeah, you're only going to find more and more as time goes on as well.
That's right, yeah.
Steve is in Kendal. He says that you mentioned that options are fixed to the model you choose. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah. So you just choose your vehicle online. The only difficult choice is choosing what lovely colour you'd like the car in. Obviously, there's various colours, as you can see, the red one here. We've had various ones. We've got the black one. We've also got a grey one here for, the time that we've been here on show today. So yeah, it's been really, really good.
Yeah, and like, for example, this one then, all-wheel drive extended range model. This has the UV panoramic glass roof. You couldn't put that on a standard range rear-wheel drive model. It just doesn't come with that.
No.
That's the way it works. But you had 3 here, different variants today. They all look good, don't they?
They all look really good, yeah. And they all drive, absolutely fantastic.
Brilliant. Right, Amanda is in Heysham. You've just mentioned this, and I mentioned it briefly, but let's just go over it again because people are asking about this. You mentioned one-pedal drive. Is that tricky to get used to?
No, it isn't. I was a bit wary about it, to be fair, to begin with, but like I said to you before, after a couple of minutes, it's fine. If you are unsure about it, you can override it by using the brake. If you wanted to, but yeah, it's straightforward. Put your foot on the accelerator, take your foot off the accelerator, and the vehicle slows down.
Yeah, and it feels like it's braking.
Yeah,
as you
it feels
lift
like
off,
it's braking, and even on a road today, 50, 60 miles an hour, car was braking in front of me. Car, no problem at all. It was braking for me perfectly.
Great stuff. You'll get to grips with that in no time, Amanda. Lizzie is in the Lake District. She's obviously packing to go away for the weekend.
Yeah.
She says, how much extra storage do I get in the front trunk?
Okay, so you get 81 litres in the front trunk. It's great for putting, like you mentioned before, muddy boots, things that you don't really want to be putting in the boot that, things like, let's say, muddy boots. It is got waterproof as well, so if you wanted to, you can sort of wash it down if you wanted to.
Yeah, and we've seen this like in the rear of the Puma recently.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
in the
proved
Mega
to be
Box.
really popular.
Yeah, it's very popular in the Puma. A lot of people have been asking for, to show them on the Mega Box.
Great stuff. And one last one here from Bronwyn in Lancaster, and I already know the answer to this, but you go ahead, Andy.
Yeah.
It's can I order a larger or smaller infotainment screen?
No, you can't. It comes standard as a 15.5-inch screen. It is very easy to use. As you mentioned before, it's just like an iPad. It gives you all the facilities and everything that you need to know. With having a smaller screen, it might inferior, but no, 15.5 is fine.
Yeah, and just, in front of the steering, just behind the steering wheel there, the 10.2-inch digital cluster, really pin-sharp graphics on that to see all the information you need.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
Brilliant. Andy, thanks ever so much. Obviously, the pandemic continues currently, so
yeah,
you're not
it
open
does.
for public
We're
coming in.
hopefully back open on the April the 12th.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see all our customers coming back through the doors. Any other questions regarding the Mach-E or any other vehicles within the Ford range, by all means, give us a call. We look forward to hearing from you.
And these are still here tomorrow morning, aren't they? So if
Yeah,
you're watching
that's
this on Tuesday night and Wednesday morning tomorrow, they'll still be here for a little while?
Of course they are, they're here till probably just after midday, so any questions at all, by all means, give us a ring. We'd look forward to hearing from you.
Are you doing any, I'm putting you on the spot here, are you doing any video phone calls at all, or like kind of live?
We are doing video phone calls, so if people are interested by having a look on Facebook and they want a personalised video, then we can certainly arrange that. That's not a problem
move
at all.
quickly. Yeah, and if you're in the local area, you might see 2 or 3 of them zipping up and down the road as the,
that's right,
as the staff here at Pye Motors take them out as well.
Yeah.
So, Andy, thanks ever so much.
All right,
it's been great, and thanks to you for watching wherever you are at this point in time as well right now. There it is. It is the Mustang Mach-E. It is every bit a Mustang, but every bit a fantastic electric vehicle for the 21st century. Thanks for watching. See you soon.